phased. Dad just stood there. He knew Ghost would be at a loss for words. The others, including Ron, were looking down and backing away, ashamed to have been acting friendly with the guy who was out of favor. Got something to say for yourself? Red-faced, Ghost wiped tears out of the corners of his eyes and rubbed them on his shirt. But you... I what? Dad interrupted. Ghost glanced around at the other guards. I thought you asked for me to come here. Ha! Yeah, so I could teach you a lesson. Dad clenched his fist. He was glancing left and right. Soon he'd be looking for weapons to hit Ghost with. Wait, Ghost said. He had to keep his dad distracted till the shivers got here, but he couldn't think of anything to say. He grimaced. You scared? Dad said. Did those shiver bitches make you one of them? Too scared to even say who you are when you destroy my compound? How dare you? Ghost lowered his head at Dad. Dad laughed loudly. How dare I what? He said. Call them out for the cowards they are? Ghost ground his teeth. You know what I said when I heard the Ghost was there? I said, I'ma kill that little shit. His dad said, tendons standing out on his neck. Didn't I, Circle? Yes, sir, Circle said. Dad turned back on Ghost. Chase, you think you had to keep quiet for nothing? Shivers pretend to be from outside Seattle so we don't kill those fuckers. They're like cockroaches. Ghost growled. Keeping quiet during the day so you don't crush them and then sneaking into the kitchen to steal your food, Dad added. You want to be one of them? I am one of them, Ghost growled. You're my son, Chase. Dad growled back. You can't change that. And I can kick your ass sure as I did the day you ran away, little bitch that you are. Ghost roared and grabbed his dad by the collar, swinging him around and shoving him into the wall with a loud thump. He was almost as tall as his dad now, and he felt it. Dad was so startled he barely reacted. Ghost blinked and let go. I don't want to hit you, he said. Suddenly, Dad's knee smashed into his crotch so hard he was sick and on the ground before he realized it. He writhed in place for a minute. Told you I can kick your ass, he heard his dad mutter over him. I could, Ghost grunted. You little shit, Dad kicked at him lightly. Ghost was on his knees and one elbow, coiled in. When he felt the kick and it didn't hurt, he knew something was off. He looked up. Dad was scanning the room for stuff to hit Ghost with. Ghost knew Dad's pattern. A guard handed him a thick square stick, a chair leg, like what he'd killed Crippler with. Ghost was shocked. The guard had handed it to Merc so casually. It was heavy enough to break fingers by accident and kill with enough blows. The guards had always known. They'd pretended not to see Chase's bruises or hear him screaming, but they'd always known. He moved away from Dad as the guards closed in around him, grimly unhooking weapons. Their clunky boots sounded heavy. He glanced around for weapons. He'd left his gun back at the compound, trying not to seem threatening. That was stupid. Stand up, son, Dad said. You gonna run from me? I thought you said you could kick my ass. I could, I just don't feel like it, Ghost said. The room exploded into laughter. It had sounded so ridiculous. Ghost reddened. He hated that he wanted to be so chill and cool, and he could never be chill and cool. You could, you just don't feel like it, Dad repeated. Well, why don't you? Come at me. He moved around like a boxer, mockingly. I don't want to, Ghost said louder. He lifted his chin and spoke above the rising laughter. I said I don't want to. In the middle of that sentence, Dad stabbed a stick into his gut like a sword. It punched in and took his wind. Ghost doubled over. Guards behind him grabbed his arms and kept him from falling forward. They were dragging him across the floor. He couldn't breathe. He kept trying, wheezing little chokes of air in. Now's a good time if you're going to try it. Merc picked a splinter out of the chair leg, approaching. Of course, you'd have to keep in mind that if you piss me off, I might just order that strike on Shiver after all. As it is, I might let them live. Ghost's back was against the wall with his arms held back by guards, keeping him from bending forward to protect himself. He was getting his breath. You'll let them live if I do what you want, right? Ghost said hoarsely. You'll let them live. Sure, Merc shrugged. Ghost lowered his head and nodded, thinking. You know they'll kill you, though, right? What? Merc said, a sneer freezing on his face. Ghost looked him in the eyes. They'll kill you. You're nothing but prey to Shiver. You better shut your mouth, boy, if you want your friends to live. My friends are gonna kill you, Ghost snapped. I didn't want that. He was stopped by a blow to the abdomen. He shouted in pain. Dad was hitting him with the chair leg over and over again. It made the sound like when you put down a bag of flour, but a lot of times. Ghost stooped, guards stopping him from doubling over so Dad could keep hitting him. Face twisted in pain, his toes curled in. He tried to move forward on his knees, but it only opened up his torso to more attacks. He whimpered a curse. He could see Dad's rage as he hit him. When he stopped, panting, he motioned for the guards to take a break. They let Ghost's arms go and he slid down to the ground, choking in sobs of air. "Chase," Dad growled, poking him. "Stand at attention." Ghost didn't move. His breath sounded panicky. "Get the fuck up." "No." Ghost's voice was muffled by the carpet. "The hell did you just say to me? Did you just say no to me?" Ghost lifted his lips off the ground just enough to say, "No thank you," with a cracking voice. Merc paused. He stared at Ghost, still pointing the stick in his direction. Ghost lowered his head again. Dad swung it to test if he was paying attention. Ghost flinched involuntarily. "You're my son. You're my Chase," Dad said. "You're with me again. You want me to kill your friends? I thought you wanted to save them." "They can save themselves," Ghost said into the carpet, eyeing the toe of his dad's shoe. When the toe lifted, his dad would strike. It lifted. Ghost flinched down, turtling his head between his shoulders and arms. But his dad was going to the kitchen, pacing. Then he came back, standing before Ghost. "Okay then, Ghost. Let's try this."